I had suddenly and unexpectedly received the vision revelation with the blurry form of two proportionality equations, one below the other, while being on the train journey with my mom to see my middle brother hospitalized in IITK. I began working on the revelation within a few days of receiving it as soon as I could, while we were staying with my brother in the hospital itself, as I felt an urgency. Within the next week, it was ready with its formulation and results that matched Isaiah's 1997 discrete resource budget model. The episode is from mid-2018 during the early months of my PhD days when I was still working under the supervision of my first supervisor, Avdesh Prasad. But when I was back to my workplace after the whole mentally and emotionally disturbing event concerning my brother, and showed the model written on a sheet of paper with my supervisor, holding the sheet in his hands, he looked at it with a weird expression of disdain as he said, "You didn't do this. You didn't do this." While editing the part 1 of the model video yesterday, the title and entirety of the manuscript, a first-order piecewise linear differential equation explains alternate bearing in perennial plants, caught my attention, and after a while it made sense to me that the name highlighted the first act of communion between a virgin bride and her husband. The act which is being performed for the first time involving a virgin bride implied by the phrase, a first order, and the fact that it's an act of communion implied by the phrase, piecewise linear differential equation, and perennial plants being analogous of people who reproduce and live for several years. The model is a single tree model that explains the resource budgeting in plants in a continuous time formulation, implying a sense of continuous commitment. So, the model revelation also goes along with the promise made to me by God and the TSPR ministry. Interestingly, it was the first title I had come up with for the manuscript until a change was suggested by my new supervisor. It's a bold marker of the fact that it is meant to communicate a word to the scientific community, a prophetic scientific work to minister to science people in order to draw them to God. The model, though it is correct and reproduces the results of the lower form of the model published in 1997 by Isaiah, was rejected at least 10 times by at least 7 scientific journals within the past 4.5 years for reasons such as it not explaining reproduction in plants, not explaining other additional phenomenon such as masting that need not be incorporated in the paper, not being in the scope of the journals though the journal's name itself implied perfect affinity for the model to be a part of it, and not adding any insight and understanding into the mechanism while it was out of a new insight alone that the formulation could be done. Afterwards my supervisor suggested me to shelve it and work on the second MS, but because of my gradual health decay and the burden to regularly release revelatory newspapers, I wasn't able to complete the same, and then sitting to work on it gets me into a stress state as well. I thought that I will make a single video on the corrupt review process and the political games that are played to corner a student, but then I saw that I had several details to add, details that uncover other aspects of the corrupt system and that cover the truth lying between two different events of the corrupt display of behavior received. So, I am breaking the video in more than one parts. This is part 1 of the full review exposure I am going to release. I have already made a video about the same, the link to which is given in the description box, but this series is a more detailed one. While going through my past emails to find relevant info for this review exposure video, I come across 2 similar mails by Avdesh Prasad. I open the lower one. As we can see, the mail doesn't have anything else but a PDF named PAP meaning sin in English, and it was sent to me on April 17, 2018. My date of PhD registration was April 20, 2018. When I go back and open the mail right above the PAP mail from April, it too carries just a PDF named PAP, which carries the same info about the Serb school at Pune. This second mail was sent on March 27, 2018. The preview of the PDF on the right shows that it's about a Serb school that has already been held about 2 months back at Savitribai Phule University, Pune. Why is he sending me the same mail about an event that has already passed wherein the mail only contains a file named PAP, meaning sin in English? Why did he send me these 2 PAP files before I was even registered with him? I didn't see the mail with a negative outlook as I thought of him as a good person back in those days when I had still not registered under him. But now, the mails revealed to me that he had indirectly revealed his true self before I even got registered. His true self, that indulges in the sexual oppression or sexual harassment of female PhD students. When I search his name in my mailbox to find the complete pattern, I find one more such mail with no subject. That catches my attention. I see that he has sent me useful mails as well. The red mails are the ones that he sent with ulterior motives, but the green mails are the ones he sent to share with me the material to study as I had begun working with him in March 2018, after having left working on a project under Professor Sanjay Jain. I had left working under Professor Jain because, though he taught the best in my eyes, I had found out that he was a sexual harasser as well, as shared in the September 3, 2024 newspaper, and then I had begun to feel weird around him as well. I heard while writing the last sentence, "Pooja is smiling wide. Pooja is smiling wide." Well, who is Pooja? Pooja is his ex-student whom I came to know when working with him. As we can see, my last email communication with him was on March 13, 2018, as highlighted in yellow, and it's also the time after which I began actively working under Avdesh Prasad as shown by the green emails with research materials sent to me by him. Coming back to the third no subject email, when I opened it, I saw that it was a blank mail with no attachment sent in the same minute of 3:36 p.m. That he had sent me the SERPAP or SIN mail. Did he send me this immediate follow-up mail to deceptively make the point that he sent the previous mail accidentally, or was it because he was suggesting me to disappear or not work with him if I was to indulge in PAP or SIN with him? When I had received these mails in 2018, I ignored them. It was because I was a non-judgmental person with a positive outlook. Why would I assume that my would-be supervisor is revealing to me that in order to work with him, I would have to indulge in PAP or SIN or sexual acts? After all, I had a good impression of him being a characterful man from the MSc course of NLD that he taught. And then he doesn't look like a heartless, mentally vicious sexual harasser either, but can feign fake righteousness just like this guy behind the tiny spy cam drone situation in my life and his wife. Look, after reading through these messages that clearly imply a disturbed emotional state of a person, all she had to feign was a fake. Hi Karthika. Hope you are doing well. This itself shows what kind of people have joined hands together to inflict abuse on an innocent person in a collaborative manner. I am not saying that she knows of Avdesh Prasad, but she knows her husband, who in turn knows of Avdesh Prasad, as he even sent a flying monkey Deepak as a PhD student who joined with Avdesh Prasad as his supervisor. Deepak is a third-party messenger between this guy and me, and also this guy and me. Now let us go back to Avdesh Prasad sending me PAP or SIN files. One more reason that I see behind him doing so is if he was communicating to me that in the almost a month-long SERP school, he indulges with sexual relations with female PhD students, which he was trying to let me know of. It is often the case that such sexually harassing supervisors take their female PhD students along with them on long trips of several days as a part of outstation research schools or outstation conferences that continue for several days, during which they abuse them against their willfully submitted will, as the students don't have the will to experience the sexual abuse, but they compromise their integrity to complete their degree. By far in this video, I've shown evidence of how Avdesh Prasad had communicated his wicked nature to me before I had joined in PhD. In addition to the mails, when I had approached him to ask for PhD supervision, he had with a weird expression asked me to go and inquire more, as he had said, "Puk lo. Patakar lo baki sabasi. Go and ask others. Inquire from others." But since I had it firm in my mind that I wanted to join under him, why would I go around asking more people when he seems good enough to me for the role for a supervisor? I am showing the photos of these three people, as they are interconnected with each other at different levels. Now back during the time, I didn't see or perceive his said words in this negative light that I am seeing them now, for when I look back with greater discernment, I can connect more dots and several things make sense anew. After a gap of some days, when I went again to him to ask him for supervision, he asked me if I had inquired around, and he asked me to think again before joining. Again I thought, why do I need to think again when I am sure that I want to work with him? Only that I didn't know that he was asking me to inquire so I would know what I would be up to while working with him. In the next video, I will share the timeline showing me meeting Kenshir Sakai in the CNSD 2018 held in JNU, leaving Avdesh Prasad afterwards, and joining under my current supervisor, leading to the first paper submission, after which would begin the exposure of that side of the review process which can be politically manipulated to deliberately work against the student, or anyone for that matter, to cause harm to their career. It's almost as if they choose to target a certain student or person, and lead the path to biased reviews that decide against the student or the target, leading to a wastage of the target's time. All this is done to bring the free-willed, and in most cases the morally upright target, under their control so they can absorb more people into their wicked promiscuous system. Also, they communicate their wicked wish or will in such indirect ways as doing so directly would be risky, and would call for legal action. But still, it's important to directly call out such indirect ways to perpetuate abuse in different forms, be it informative or helpful writing, or making such videos. To be continued in the next video.
मुझे यीशु मिल गया, जीवन का आधार है, उसकी बाहों में सुकून है, मेरा वो पालनहार है। सारी दुनिया छोड़ दूं, उसके प्यार में खो जाऊं, उसके चरणों में झुक जाऊं, बस उसकी महिमा गाऊं। मुझे यीशु मिल गया, मेरा जीवन बन गया, उसके प्रेम में जीऊंगा, हर दिन उसको मानूंगा। हर दर्द हर गम मिटा, उसने मुझे अपनाया, पापों का बोझ उतार दिया, नए जीवन का संदेश दिया। उसके प्रेम ने सब कुछ दिया, अनंत सुख का दरवाजा खुला। अब तो मैं हूँ उसका सदा, कभी न छोड़ूंगा उसे चला।